Carmen.
Hey Janine, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm glad we were able to
We're
get this
having.
done. Of course, of course. I was worried. There was some storming going on here in Nashville, so I was like, ah, man, I hope we don't like lose power or something. But I think it passed, so
Are
I think
you
we're
guys
good.
seeing storms too? Because I have a friend that's at Universe, and I've heard
Hmm.
flights are getting canceled. There's bad weather. I'm like,
So
what's going on? Usually that's Florida. Right now it's sunny.
yeah, well, I mean, I think like we must be getting it from somewhere. That's usually how it works here in Tennessee. It's like it comes across like from somewhere else, and we get it. So like when Florida had like some hurricanes and stuff, like we got a lot of that, like the edges of it.
I've
So
never thought so. That's interesting.
yeah, my wife is originally from Florida, so from like that Tampa, Brandon area. So yeah, we visit there quite often. So
Remember, you were visiting just a
yeah,
few weeks ago, right?
yeah. I tried to get as much beach time as I could.
Yeah, because you're landlocked in Tennessee, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you, for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. So, you've been obviously like you're in the fitness industry, and I was just kind of curious, like, how did you, get into like training, working out? How did that start for you?
Back in well, I went through a life change, a divorce,
Mm,
and
hmm
when you go through something that altering in life, you kind of start questioning your life
hmm
path, who are you? And
Sure.
I found myself kind of like in a conundrum because I felt almost like I had lost my identity. So I started setting goals for myself. This was like in 2020, 2020.
Hmm
And one of the goals was like, okay, I'm going to get in the gym, and make myself the best body I can.
hmm
But because I had just had a baby just like 2 years before in 2018. And I thought to myself, I'm going to set a goal of something impossible, right?
hmm
I'm one of those people, like, if you dare me to do something, I'm always like, don't dare me. You could ask me, but once you dare me, it's on. So
hmm
I dared myself to do a competition, and I found this little gym that was open during COVID. You would be one person at a time type thing. And the owner said, I think you could do it. This was like October, November of 2020. I
Okay.
didn't get serious. I was just like, this is something far off in the future. And in January, he came to me and said, what are you waiting for? I said, I don't know, the right time, the right body to look like I would be up there. And he said, you're ready. So I hopped in a competition in March, and little did I ever think I would pretty much sweep the whole competition, won all four categories. And I was like, I was just doing this for, you know, shits and giggles.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
here it is that I did well. And, the head judge, Tim Gardner, said to me, what are your plans after this? And I said, nothing. I just wanted to do a competition to do a competition. And he said, it would be a shame if you didn't keep going.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, so that's interesting because for some reason I thought, and I think it's because you're so polished. I thought that you've been training for quite a long time, but
oh,
you only started in like 2020. I mean, that's pretty.
2021 was my first competition, March.
Yeah.
I mean, prior to that, I have trained, right? But just
um,
just for me, I've
right.
always done some form of exercise. At one point, I was into CrossFit, then I was into
Mhm.
bar, then I thought I was going to be the next big yogi. I've always transitioned from one activity to the other.
So
So,
okay, so you did do like you still trained, you still like took care of yourself, but just not to like a competitive level.
right, not
Okay.
to this level of weighing my food and watching what I ate, and
hmm
this is a whole other level.
So, I mean, you were obviously very successful. Yeah, right from the beginning. How did you feel about transitioning to like that kind of style of fitness, where you're, like you said, weighing your food, everything's so detailed, so meticulous, everything is down to this, to the calorie, how did you, feel about that or take that on?
I think the hardest part of that transition for me was figuring out what whole foods were, believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
what was gonna work well with my body, because I've always pretty much eaten clean. I go through kicks of being vegan, vegetarian, back to normal, right? I'm just one of these people. So that the hard part though was not weighing of the food, but realizing that sweet potato is going to sustain me longer than some other little snack that I would have had, like a protein bar. Now I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have protein bars at all. I stick to jasmine rice, sweet potatoes, that kind of like really dense food that's going to keep
Mm-hmm.
me. So it was really that, not the weighing, because the weighing is just a part of the process, right?
Right, right.
Figuring out what foods to eliminate.
So I guess my question was would be like, you weren't per se like a foodie, like are you just one of those people that would just stuff food down, or you were pretty like you have a pretty good relationship with food?
Yeah, I have a pretty good relationship
Okay.
with food. To give you an example, my stage weight when I first started was 111,
Mm.
111.6. My normal weight prior to bodybuilding was 110.
Oh, so you basically, so you transformed your body, but you didn't necessarily go up or down in weight too much.
Right.
So,
Right.
gotcha. And you know, it's an interesting subject matter, right? Like with regard to weight and then the way your body looks, because there's a lot out there, there's a lot of viewpoints, and there are people, especially in the fitness industry, that like you, who like would probably advocate that weight change doesn't necessarily equal like more fit. So how do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, perfect example is I did a competition last year.
Mhm.
My first year as a pro, came dead last, came 16, and I weighed 114.6,
So you're
right?
heaviest, yeah.
Heaviest. And this year, I was terrified to do my first competition, which was Clash,
Hmm.
because we could not get the scale to move from 114.6. And we're talking about, I was backstage just like nervous because I
Hmm.
just had that image in my head from the year before. Got on stage, placed really well, won the Masters, and my feedback from the head judge
Hmm.
was, "You're still too conditioned. You need to come in softer."
I see that's that whole, you know, that whole condition versus softness in your division.
And it's like, you look at my body last year and you look at my body this year, and it's totally different at the same weight,
Hmm.
right? Last year, I did look a little bit rounder. What do they say? Fluffier. This year, I looked fully conditioned because I looked more muscular. I had more muscle on me,
Hmm.
but same weight.
Same
So
weight.
it's so funny how sometimes, when clients come to me, I always tell them throughout the number,
Hmm.
right? Because you might find that you might get to that number and you might love the way that you look,
Right. Right.
you know?
Yeah. I'm kind of like in the same boat with regard to the numbers. I use a scale, like when I talk to clients, I usually use a scale as like a tool, a loose tool, not necessarily anything concrete. Because if you're finding that you're going up in weight, but you're looking better, you know, I mean, the goal is to look better. The goal isn't just to have a particular number, right? So for most people, I mean, there are specific like lifestyle clients that might need like actually to drop a significant amount of weight, but we're not talking about that. And so that's the tricky thing. That's why I love like talking to people, or whenever people post, sometimes you'll see them, they'll post like one picture and then the other, and they'll post the weights on them, and then one will look a lot better, and then but it'll be heavier, so
Yeah.
it always like throws people for a loop, because
I
some
should
people are like,
I should
go ahead.
post a picture of me last year at Charlotte. at Charlotte, and then this year at the first clash. I should
Yeah,
do that.
yeah, you definitely should, because I think it also like kind of opens the eyes of people that aren't competing, that aren't in the industry, that don't understand nutrition and training as well, that it's not all about the scale. And sometimes they get taught that through just life. It's the scale is the only thing that matters. And unfortunately
We've
that.
become a number obsessed society, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. It's you're not going to be able to change the society, but if you can help a few people, it's always makes a difference. Just for those few people, it will make a difference.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So at this point, you're in the pros, you won, you got your pro card, you're placing, well, what now? Like, where are you now with your competitive career?
Masters Olympia. I'm
Okay.
8 weeks out, a little over 8 weeks, right? So that is I can't even express how much of a dream come true that is. Eight
Hmm.
weeks out, heading to Romania to be on stage with so many prestigious and seasoned athletes. Um,
Hmm. Are
it
you,
really
I mean, that's exciting. Have you ever been to Romania?
I've never been to Romania. I've been to a few places in Europe, but not Romania. And it's funny because I have a friend who is Romanian, Ulia,
Hmm.
and she's also an IFBB pro. She's
Uh-huh.
the first IFBB pro from Romania, of like Romanian. And she's telling me about the food. She's like,
Hmm.
get ready. We don't always eat healthy. And I'm like, I got to be able to find healthy choices when I get there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. So like originally I'm from Ukraine, or like on the border with
Mhm.
Russia. And so I'm familiar. I've never been to Romania itself, but it's close enough where like I already kind of know like what you should expect and stuff. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Just um, stick is your friend coming with you?
No, I'm actually taking another friend of mine,
Okay.
but I know as soon as I get there, first thing I'm gonna look for is a grocery store.
Yeah. Just be safe, and make sure you uh stay with your friend and stuff like that. Especially like sometimes like when you go to places like that and they hear like you speak English and stuff, you can kind, especially being a woman, you can kind of make yourself a target. So just be cautious there as well. But it should be a lot of fun. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. It's so you're competing in the Masters Olympia.
Yes.
How can we how are you ever gonna compete? Are you try to compete in the regular Olympia? Like, can you lead?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That is like the ultimate goal, right? The dream.
Right.
Um, I would love to be able to compete in both, you know. That's what I'm striving for,
Hmm.
honestly. If I'm honest, that's really what I'm striving
Right.
for.
And the reason I asked that question is because my ignorance on that, I wasn't sure if you've kind of restricted yourself to the Masters, or you're trying to do both.
When I first, I'll be honest, when I first won my pro cards in North Americans in
Hmm.
2021, I won it in Masters. I won two pro cards. And I thought I would tell my coach, I don't think they place Masters athletes well, and she said, nope, you got it all wrong. You just have to
Hmm.
they have to keep seeing you show up and make improvements. And that's what they reward. And I just had it in my head. Nope. It doesn't matter how I show up. I'm never going to be able to climb the ranks. So I started a manifestation board. And at the
Okay.
top of it had Masters Olympia. And I would just pray every day for over a year that they would bring back the Masters Olympia. And I remember at the end of 2021 when they hinted, they might bring it back. And I just kept praying harder because I was convinced in my mind that once the judges saw me come out in the Masters category, they disregarded me in the open category.
Hmm.
Until I started really I took this past off season and I said, you know what? I'm going to work my butt off.
Yeah.
I'm going to put aside this number in my head, right? and I'm going to work my butt off to bring my best physique.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are limitations. I'm older. I've had children. My body's not going to look like somebody who hasn't had children and is 10, 15 years younger, but I'm going to work with what I have.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the head judges, Sandy Williamson, said to me, I don't know your age. Yeah, I see you come out in masters, but that doesn't, when you get out there in the open, I know whether you belong out there or not by your physique, not by your age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so this year I really pushed through, and I stepped on stage, and each time I've been trying to show up and bring my best physique, and I'm closing out each show in the top 5 in the open. And
That's amazing.
that's
Yeah.
when I said to myself, it's about doing the work. It's
Yeah.
about putting in the work. And I think more and more judges who may not have recognized before, now that we do have a masters, they're like, oh, these masters competitors are coming in strong,
Right.
So I feel like their eyes are more open more, but I also know that for myself, I set aside my preconceived notions
Mm-hmm.
and just allowed myself to soar.
Yeah, I mean that happens, right? Sometimes you kind of like set yourself up, for I don't want to say for failure, but you kind of hold yourself back a little bit because, and maybe I don't know if it is that way for you. Whenever I competed in different sports, sometimes in your mind, it's kind of you can say as a weakness. You allow yourself to have that caveat. Well, if I don't place well, at least I can say, well, it was because of this. And
Right.
sometimes what that does is kind of hold you back. So you have to always fight against that. I think that happens to everybody. So yeah, I mean for sure. Now placing top 5 at any show in any division is you're right there. Once you're placing top 5 in pro shows, you're right there. So like you're literally on the cusp of you know going to the next level. So it's yeah, that'll be exciting, and especially now that the Olympia is, well, I don't know how long they're going to have it in Florida, but hopefully for a long time, because I will tell you it is the best like choice they could have made. I mean, I think it's in Orlando, right?
It
Yeah.
is. It's in Orlando.
Yeah.
So awesome. That's like a 4-hour drive for me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I mean, parking will be great. Like, food is not going to be crazy expensive. Like, going out is not going to be crazy expensive like it is in Las Vegas. Like, hotels, accommodations are going to be crazy expensive. And so it allows more people to come. When it was in Las Vegas, I was really debating whether I want to go and watch it or not. It's a lot of work to go, to something like that. But in Orlando, oh, I mean, how many people.
Make a vacation out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's definitely going to be like I feel like it's going to be like a bigger show as far as like audience and
Yes.
all that is
I
concerned. So,
loved when they had it in Orlando the first time. I couldn't go because I was literally moving.
mhm.
And then last year they had it in Vegas, and I'm sorry, so expensive, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Even just as a single person going, I was just like debating. But now that it's in Orlando again, I'm like, bring it on, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. For sure. And like I was listening to Fuad Abiyad's podcast, and even him, which he's a very successful businessman, obviously, and he was like, man, I don't want to go to Las Vegas. It's like $20 for a water bottle. Like, there's no way. It's so I think everybody's kind of in the same boat, unless you live in Las Vegas, which then they
Right.
probably don't want to go.
Sorry,
Uh,
Vegas
yeah,
people.
hey, they had it for a while, so we'll be
It's,
all right in
yeah, they'll be all
Orlando.
right. They'll recover.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, I was looking at your page, and I was looking at like your physique and the physique that you're bringing to the stage, and that's why like I was like masters. I mean, masters or not, I mean, this isn't a open, you know, division Olympia, physique. So there's no reason why you couldn't, be in the top 5 in the Olympia. I mean, like, and especially in the bikini division, the judges seem to really reward what they see, because you don't see a lot of like repeat Olympia champs like you do in, other divisions. What do you
Right.
think?
Yeah, I agree. It's been a while since there's been a repeat in bikini,
Hmm.
right? it's so funny because I remember last year looking at it and I thought, my girls look at it with me. My girls are huge fans of this sport. It's a little weird actually, because, you know, they get around their friends who like
Right,
NBA or the Dolphins and
right,
they're,
right.
well, my mom's friend, Laura Lee, you know, it's like, and people are like, what?
That's
So my
funny.
girls are huge fans of the sport. I remember watching it last year with them and they were like, Mom, you know, who's going to win? And I'm like, well, this person might win and that person might
Mhm.
win. And they said, well, what about that person? I said, the short girls usually don't win, you know,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
if you look at past winners, they're usually in that B, C category or more.
Mhm.
And Maureen won,
Right.
and my girls were just up and down, screaming, jumping. And so I feel like the judges do reward what they see,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, yes, there could be a favorite up there, a fan
Sure.
favorite, an underdog, you know, the dark horse, but they go with what they see, and it really is a surprise every
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, when Maureen won, I always thought she should. I feel like she should have been like 1-2 in the past, but I'm glad to see her, win. But to your point, well, I went to the Arnold this last time, and I believe Laura Lee, right?
Yes.
One, yeah.
Yes.
So it came to like kind of like a redemption to her because Maureen was there too. So you just see, like you said, whoever is best up there gets the nod, and I feel like they're doing that more and more with other divisions too. Like you'll see men's open now, Hottie won, and
Right.
nobody knows, if he's going to repeat or not, because it's such a close, very edgy situation there in the open. Everybody's really good. So, and I think that makes it more exciting. I mean, honestly, having,
Fresh blood coming into the arena this year that I'm
yeah.
so excited. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the favorites. I love Jen Dory. I love seeing Laura Lee up there. You know, we know all the favorites, right?
Mhm.
But when you have fresh blood coming in, like Rihanna Harley, and you know, hopefully my friend Maria Costa makes it. Like, you're talking about these are new and up and coming, and you want to see where they're gonna fall. Even
Right.
myself, I hope to get there and see where I fall and everything, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
shaking things up. It's good. It's good for the
taking
sport.
things
It's
up.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely exciting. So you're 8 weeks out. What does that look like for you? Like food
So
wise, training wise?
food wise, like I said, I always pretty much stay on target. Uh, I do have a weakness for beef pho. Beef pho. But I cut it out. I actually cut it out from 10 weeks out this time
Hmm.
because I've decided if I'm gonna step on the biggest stage of my life, I have to do things a little differently, right? So
Hmm.
I actually have a trainer that I'm going to be training with 1 or 2 days a week,
Hmm.
working on, you know, the feedback that I got from the last few judges. Um, and I've cleaned up my diet from this far out. Usually I am one of those people, I know my body well enough that I can continue to have certain things right up until about 4 weeks out. No, I'm going full throttle this time. I've been super strict with myself, getting enough sleep. My Aura ring yells at me. You know, just doing everything that I would normally do at 4 weeks out. I'm doing it from now.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. I was like, oh, maybe we can do the show around like 9:30. You're like, nope, I'm
No,
gonna be
I
asleep
gotta go
at
to bed
9:30.
at 9:15. I'll
Uh,
start getting the messages on my phone.
Yeah,
You're
that's too funny. Yeah, sleep is so important. It's like if you don't get enough sleep, I mean, it really changes everything. It actually, I mean, can vividly change the way your physique looks.
yes.
Sometimes if I don't get enough sleep, I'll wake up, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at here, you know? And so, but yeah, it's absolutely needed for sure.
Yeah. It's funny that you should say that because we only discovered this year. I usually sleep 5 hours a night, right? That's like my,
Yeah,
well,
that's
Jamie
that's
kept pushing me. She's like, I need you to sleep at least 7 hours.
yeah.
Every single time that I have slept 7 hours, I wake up 2 pounds heavier, 2.1 pounds actually. So
Mm,
it's funny because going into one of my shows, and my calories are ridiculously high during peak week. I'm like close to 3,000 calories.
really? Well, okay.
Yeah. She said to me, you know, she said, I want you to get 7 hours sleep. And I go, you know what's going to happen? But okay. I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and immediately I text her. I'm like, down 2.1 pounds. So of course I'm like, she's like feeding me more.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm the only person backstage and she walks by and she's like, eat.
yeah. Yeah, I wonder like if that's due to just longer like period of not eating, you're adding or
I know
dehydration.
I have a really fast metabolism. We've
Hmm.
already, seen that and tested that. But yeah, I guess I just burn through food even when I'm sleeping.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
problem to have for most people, unless you're trying to like,
For most
go
people.
the opposite way. So yeah, I was kind of curious. You're saying you're cleaning up your diet early on, like 8 weeks out, and the feedback that you got, for if I remember correctly, you said that you were too conditioned. Is it is that going to make you too conditioned, like cleaning up your diet this far out, or is that more of a problem during peak week where it's just
I think
what
that's
you're
more of
eating?
a problem during peak week because she'll
Okay.
just feed me more,
Gotcha.
we just have to be very, very careful, like going in, making sure all variables are the same. My water intake, my sodium,
Mhm.
my sodium's pretty low now since I'm not eating any beef, you know.
Yeah,
It's pretty clean. So yeah, it's just keeping everything constant
yeah,
and
yeah. So,
working towards the feedback.
have you ever flown for a show?
I have. Yeah.
Okay,
So nationals, I flew to Pittsburgh.
okay.
I've last year I did North Carolina, Charlotte Pro. I did Shreveport as well.
Mhm.
Um, what else did I do? I did Puerto Rico Pro. That was my
Okay,
last show of the season
okay.
last year.
How long are
Yeah.
those flights? Like, what's the longest flight?
So the longest flight was probably Puerto Rico.
Okay,
Because I think it was like, I mean, Charlotte was maybe 2 hours, but I think Puerto Rico was like 2.5 hours almost.
okay. So
Yeah.
Romania is going to be by far your longest flight.
Oh, by far. I mean, I've
Okay.
I've obviously I've traveled a lot. I've been to Thailand, I've been to Bora Bora, I've been lots of places. So it's not
Mhm.
about taking a long flight, but I know I hold water weight.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hold water weight. So the plan is to actually fly there. I'm going to be there for a week
Okay.
so that I have enough time to drop that water
Right.
weight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a mistake that I see a lot of people make. And sometimes it's work related, they can't take off work and things like that. But if you can, the best thing you can do is get there, a week early so your body can become accustomed. Because if you just jump off the plane and you got a show the next day, you're gonna look terrible. It's,
Yeah. I
yeah.
need to get there. I need to see the lay of the land. I need to adjust to the climate there because I have
Mhm.
you probably know better than me what the weather's going to be like in August there.
Should be
Um,
hot, but
probably not as humid as Florida,
right, probably not as humid. Yeah, yeah,
but I want to get there, just see the lay of the land, figure everything out, have a few days to decompress,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and then jump in.
Yeah, that's exciting. I saw on your page that you're an RN, right?
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
I became an ICU nurse. I became a nurse in 2019, 2018. I graduated. So 2019, I started working. Yeah.
So was that like and I'm
Years
not gonna,
ago.
I'm not gonna ask your age, but was that like a later in life? Is that
Yes.
second
Yeah.
career?
Yeah. So that's a second degree. My first degree was actually in international business. I worked for many years, was Series 7 license trading, um,
Hmm.
worked in finance and then became a wife and a
Hmm.
stay-at-home mom.
Hmm.
And then later on became a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The reason I ask is we have more in common. I just realized that so I have a business degree, but I am in nursing school right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Do
I
you like
finished.
it?
I like it. I finished my first semester,
Mhm.
And so I'm about to hit second semester in August. So I'm pretty excited about that. My wife and I, we had a plan. We were both working in a hospital in a different capacity. So I was working in security, in the ER, and she was working a front desk in neuro. And so we both kind of decided that we were interested in nursing. So I was like, look, um, I went and got another job, like a better job. And I was like, look, you go in first, graduate. And then when you start working, then I'll go in. So she
Well,
graduated last year. And so she's been working for almost a year now in neuro. Um, and I'm in now. So hopefully I'll be done next December. And then,
congrats to you both, and how
yeah.
amazing supporting each other through it. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's a, I'm happy to see like the plan has been kind of blessed. We've been everything worked out. I only applied to one school, which probably in hindsight wasn't the best idea, but I got in. So,
Thank God. Like,
yeah.
it was all part of the plan. You just didn't know.
Right, right. So yeah, so it's exciting. How do you like being a nurse in the ICU?
So I was a nurse during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which was pretty tough,
Yeah.
but I love it because I'm an ICU nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very gratifying most days. I
Mm-hmm.
will say that. There's the downside of when you lose a patient. Um,
Yes, of course.
my specialty is more actually towards neuro and respiratory.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I worked a lot during COVID. Now that I'm doing more fitness stuff, I actually don't work 3 12s anymore a week. I do per diem now.
Okay. So
That I'm
is that like PRN?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's PRN. And the reason I did that is because I'm in my last 2 semesters. This is my second to last semester of my nurse practitioner program.
It's exciting. That's awesome.
But
That's
it's
awesome.
like it's grueling now,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we
yeah.
have classes which are pretty much from 9 in the morning till 7 p.m.
Mhm.
And then we have clinical hours that we have to put in. So
Yeah.
last semester, in addition to everything else, I had to put in 250 clinical hours. Everything got so busy. I decided to kind of step back a little bit. So now I do PRNs. I have to do a minimum of like 4 shifts a month, which
Mhm.
works out. I have enough time for my clinicals at school. I have enough time for classes. I have enough time for my kids. It's just a balancing act.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, that's the good thing about nursing, right? I mean, one is like obviously money is pretty good, but for me also just as important, like schedule. Like you can do
flexibility.
very flexible schedule, so and we're hoping, we're planning that soon in a year or two, we're gonna move to Florida. So, that allows us to, that kind of work allows us to do that too, allows you to travel and, with ease. So,
Be prepared. I'm going to warn you, Florida has some of the lowest pay rates for nurses in the nation.
oh, really? Oh,
It
that's no good.
does.
That's no
I know.
good.
I know.
Why?
But it's like a balancing act, right? So we have like, I like to tell people, you don't get paid in pay, you get paid in sunshine and
I
vacation.
guess. I guess. Yeah. So is that what drove you to do NP, or is it
It
just
is kind of what drove me to do NP. That on top of the fact that I will not lie, going through COVID was tough.
yeah.
I actually am one of those overachievers. So during COVID, my particular hospital lost a lot of nurses. And I'm one of those, I'm such a team person that I literally went to my supervisor and I was like, just put me in, just put me in first, just schedule me. Just don't
Mhm.
even ask, just schedule me. And I would be working sometimes 9, 10, 11 days straight.
Ooh.
And friends were like, you better be careful. You're going to get burnt out.
Yeah, yeah.
Careful. And I really didn't feel it. I didn't feel burnt out until I started my nurse practitioner program.
Uh-huh.
And then I've been like, man, I'm
Yeah.
starting to get tired.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're probably also like getting burned out mentally and then
Right.
physically at your job. So it's like you're burning the candle on both ends, you know?
100%. Right.
Yeah.
And it's been
Yeah.
the best thing stepping back and doing PRN now.
Sure. And I mean, you can, well, at a certain point, you're going to be NP, so that'll be different. But you can always adjust, your hours how you're needed, how you want them. So that's
I'm
exciting.
excited for you. I'm excited for
I
you.
know, I know. I'm excited too.
Welcome to your world.
I'm at the point where I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it's like I like nursing school, but I'm almost wish I could like just go through it faster so I can just go
Yeah.
ahead and
I
it's
had to
like
get all that stuff out of the way and get
right.
in the hospital and start caring for people. Do you have a specialty you want to go into? Like your
So
wife's in neuro?
yeah, I was thinking originally ED, like the ER, but I'm allowing myself to have like room to change my mind. Yeah. Just because I'm not in the medical field, so I really don't know what I like. The only reason I like ER is because it's like the way I view it myself from the outside is exciting, but I might not feel that way if I was in there, so who knows, right? How did
Keep
you
an open
pick
mind.
how did you pick your specialty?
I think my specialty kind of picked me, to be honest. Like during COVID, I was part of the float pool that I would float to either ICU or step
Hmm.
down.
Hmm.
Um, More so after being in step down, the managers would call back the supervisor, send her back to ICU, send her back to ICU. So I just picked up on things really, really fast and
Hmm.
I loved it. You
Yeah.
know, I like the whole titration and people on the brink of death.
So, but
Yeah,
your ratios aren't because the level of care is so high, your ratios are smaller, right?
yeah, it's 1 to 2.
Yeah.
And most times during COVID, it did get up at times to 1 to 3, 1 to 4,
Ooh,
but it's
that's
mostly 1 to 2. That's extenuating circumstances, though.
yeah, yeah.
Remember that we'll never have another pandemic.
Well,
Knock on
hopefully
wood.
not. Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, well, that's you've got a lot going on,
yeah.
but focusing on on your fitness career, like, it's exciting to be 8 weeks out. It'll be here before you know it. You'll be in Romania and hopefully he'll come away with the win. So
Yes, that's what I'm hoping. Your
yeah.
lips, God's ears.
Well, thank you, Janine, for coming on and taking the time out of your day. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me. Thank you so
Of,
much. It was
of
great.
Of course. And just before you go, if somebody wanted to reach out for like more podcasts or they wanted to hire you as like a coach or a trainer or just anything with regard to you and what you do, what would be the best way for them to contact you?
Contact me through my email. It's Janine, Janine at fitbodyfusion.com.
Okay, perfect. And I'll link everything at the bottom to make it easier for you guys. So that should be, we're good to go. All right. Well,
All right.
thank you so much, Janine. You take care. Have a great
Thanks,
rest of the day.
Simon. You have a great
Bye.
evening.
Bye.
Bye.